Hi guys, welcome to Tech Talks with Danny. I'm here with Longyou, and he's actually a guest that I've been wanting to actually interview for a while. I actually just talking to him is pretty about his experience is really cool. Actually, just before Longyou introduces himself, I'll introduce him first and tell you guys about where he worked. My notes are right here again, so let me read them out. He did an internship at Google as a software engineer, then was a software engineer at Microsoft, then was a software engineer at Wish, then a software engineer at Facebook, and now going to Facebook Seattle for full time. So 3 out of 4 big fours you worked at. I think by any means, by any standards of it all, he has done it big. I know it's probably a very different resume than a lot of people, but I think it's something if you guys are interested in pursuing either one of the companies or any at all, or different companies and you just want to hear tips and tricks, this video is meant for you. We'll start by kind of just talking to Longyou about, how he got started and yeah. So Longyou, how did you get started?
Oh man, so I pretty much grew up with computers. So my dad really liked computers when I was growing up. So I think first one I had a chance to interact with, they bought the year I was born. So it was like a Windows 95 machine. And so I would just play games on that, but I didn't really start programming until maybe like middle school-ish.
Okay.
So I had the opportunity to be part of in like a programming club, which was run by my high school. So that really introduced me to like the core concepts of programming, and it's where I pretty much really got started.
Oh, okay. So you started programming like what age in middle school?
It's like grade 7-ish.
Grade 7-ish. Wow.
13, 14.
What made you come to do your undergrad in computer science? Was that the reason why? Because you it's something that you were really interested in pursuing?
So I was always I wasn't too bad at it, and then I had a lot of friends who also came to Waterloo for undergrad. So I guess I just tagged along.
Just tagged along, was like, hey, why not?
Yeah.
What would you categorize yourself as a kid in high school? What would you say you were?
Oh man, I was more towards the nerdy type, I guess. I was rather introverted. I did well in math and science and I guess computer courses.
Yeah. Okay, so a lot of that. I guess that's just kind of your natural instincts is to kind of push towards that computer science route. So I wouldn't consider Wish a small company, but how would you contrast that with companies like Facebook and Google to companies like Wish?
So I actually had another co-op at Snowflake, which is smaller. Snowflake Computing, which is a bit even smaller than Wish.
Yeah.
But they're also not super small startup size. But the main difference, I think, is pretty much the scope of the projects that you're working at. So, for instance, at big companies, you're essentially just going to be like a tiny cog in some piece of the machine. Whereas at smaller companies, I find that you tend to be able to impact the company as a whole more just because they're at a smaller scale with fewer engineers.
Yeah. So impact is definitely something that you would say the big differentiator between big companies and small companies.
Definitely.
Yeah. In the long term, which one do you feel like is more preferable for you? Because I know a lot of people that are feature driven, being helping achieve a bigger mission versus startups where you literally own everything. What do you prefer?
So I accepted full-time at Facebook, so at least in the short term I'll be going to a big company. But I think definitely for the long term I'm considering more of going to a smaller company for the impact and the additional experience that you gain, because part of the increased scope you get at startups and smaller companies is that you get to learn a lot more about the different areas.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you just kind of being exposed to more things.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I totally get that. So what were the top experiences and skills you kind of picked up throughout the whole internship experience, at all the companies that you worked for?
Okay, so
top 3. I don't want to. I know it's big, but the top. I think let's bring it down to top 3.
So experiences. Let's see. Non-technical experience probably would be when I drove down to LA with my friends and we drove along the freeways during July 4th when everyone was firing off their fireworks.
Okay.
And it was quite an experience being surrounded by like the fireworks as they were going off. For technical, I think the best experience I got overall was just that I got to touch so many different technologies at all my different internships. Like pretty much I touched 3 different version control systems. I touched like 5 different main programming languages. So just the breadth of experience, I think it gave me it helped me develop the skill to really ramp up effectively and learn new things.
Well, that's pretty cool. What would be the top 3 things, like skills that you or tools that you feel like someone who wants to get into software engineering should learn right now to kind of go down this path?
Okay, so I think it really depends on what area you're interested in. So the front end stack, I think, just learning like general HTML, CSS, and JavaScript will be like a good baseline for whatever tools and frameworks that the job you're looking for uses. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. If you want to go down more like a data science or machine learning, then Python is definitely the language to learn. It's the lingua franca of the machine learning world at the moment. For systems programming, I think it's good to have a solid understanding of like classes and inheritance. So this would be more of like C++ and Java.
Yeah.
And then again, if you want to go to mobile, then that's again, I guess either Objective-C or Java in the terms of for Android.
Yeah. So like, no, that's that's definitely helpful for whoever who's watching. Now like those tools are very important. How would you suggest, like, what platforms should they look at learning those things, or like what kind of routes they should kind of pursue to kind of gain those in-depth knowledge of those tools and frameworks?
Sure. So I pretty much only have experience with like the web stack and Python/C++. So I think those are my mains. For web and Python, there's a lot of good like tutorials online and places where you can pretty much just mess around. It's like sandboxes for either like machine learning or other things. For general algorithms, I would definitely suggest something like Topcoder or HackerRank, like those competitive programming platforms. I think they really help solidify your algorithms base and pretty much just get you more comfortable with the language.
Oh, okay, yeah. So like HackerRank, I know that a lot of software engineers or like people who want to get into it kind of pursue that route, kind of to understand your place and what you know and what you don't know. I think that's super important. Kind of backtrack into your internship experience. So Google was your first internship then, right?
Yes, it was my first internship, but not in my first internship slot.
Not in your first internship slot. So I just learned about this in interview kind of started going. So you might actually explain a little bit about that?
Sure. So in 1B, when I pretty much just came into Waterloo, and I didn't really first year, didn't really have much experience with the job board system that we have here for co-ops. I actually missed the initial posting with where most of the jobs are listed, just because I didn't know about like the impact. I thought that because there was a continuous round afterwards, that there would be lots of jobs available. To my dismay, that was not the case. So I ended up actually not matching with any co-ops my first co-op term. So yeah, Google was actually at the end of my second year that I got it.
So end of your second year. So actually for the Waterloo co-op system, if you guys don't know, so Waterloo specifically, after 8 months or after 4 months, you have to go out, and if you're in the co-op system in Waterloo, then you have to go out and find a job. And Waterloo has this kind of like Waterloo like co-op system, I guess, like job system, where like they kind of companies come in and post jobs and you apply to them, and that there's this whole interview process, just like a regular interview process. And the funny thing is, that Longyou actually missed the deadline for that one. And usually it's like there's a lot of jobs first round and a little less second round and a little less third round. But yeah, that's interesting. And then so second year you got the Google internship, but that's even a funny journey in itself. You want to talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. So second year, because I missed my first co-op term, my resume wasn't actually all that great.
Yeah.
So I was initially rejected by Google through in the Waterloo job board, But the reason why I actually ended up getting an interview and ultimately the position was that I actually found a friend who had worked there the term before, and I got them to refer me for the position. So if it weren't for that referral, I definitely would not have been able to get anywhere near as good a run as I have.
Well, obviously, he's being humble about that too. If he wasn't good enough, like he wouldn't even have gotten the offer, regardless of the referral. But the referral, you said, definitely help you get your foot in the door.
Definitely.
Yeah. So that's like for people out there who kind of got rejected. Like sometimes it's by numbers, because there's like Google itself as a company and other tech, like a lot of tech companies get like thousands of resumes, millions, like not millions of resumes a day, but like a lot of resumes a day, and a lot of times like most of the times they can't review them all. So like if you guys do apply and get rejected, like don't lose hope. There's like usually there's other ways around it, and it's just like, it's also, Longyou also said it's luck, but it's also about like, you have to be prepared to kind of capitalize on that luck. So now talking about like internships, let's kind of progress into like interviews. So what are your kind of interviews, like tips and tricks and like do's and don'ts?
Sure. So I think the first one, and it's one of the major ones in my opinion, is they always tell you to think out loud. And this sounds like an easy advice to take, but it actually takes a lot more effort than I'd initially expected. So really, how I tend to deal with it is when I think of a problem, I tend to pretty much just talk out stream of consciousness. So for instance, if I have an idea, I'll immediately say it, and then I'll try to write it through on the whiteboard or on the whatever coding platform they provide. And then if maybe halfway through I figure out, oh, this maybe wasn't such a good idea after all, then I'll also say that, right? Like I will need to express the fact that I did understand that there was a problem to my solution, and maybe even talk about different ways which I might be able to address it.
Wow. So like kind of like, I guess it's especially if you're a little bit more to yourself, it's a lot harder to kind of like to voice every thought that comes to mind. But I think like one point you touched upon is like, if you're wrong, if you your train of thought that you found out was wrong, like admit it and assess it. I think is very key. So what other kind of tips and tricks would you recommend?
Yeah, so I guess building upon that, good interviewers are pretty much there to help you succeed. So if you voice out your concerns like that, if you demonstrate that you might be struggling, then most good interviewers will actually like take the initiative to help you out and maybe give you some pointers. And then when they do, I guess it's definitely take advantage of that. They're trying to tell you something.
No, that's funny. Yeah, like don't get too nervous, I think is important.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah. How do you usually prepare for technical interviews?
Number one way is just pretty much practice on problems, right? So cracking the coding interview, I think, is a really good resource. Like it's a book that contains a lot of interview questions and example solutions of how you might solve it. In addition to that, again, like I mentioned earlier, contest programming platforms like Spodge or Topcoder or HackerRank, there's a ton of them out there nowadays, but getting familiar with them and maybe even doing some time challenges could really help your confidence in being able to solve problems given a limited span of time.
And you would say like a lot of your kind of confidence in interviews like came about like doing a lot of like technical practices, coding practices like online.
Yeah.
So other than cracking the coding interview and like HackerRank and all that jazz, now going into like less technical interviews and more like maybe your first recruiter call, how do you usually start? Because those usually recruiter calls are less technical and more behavioral. So how would you usually tackle behavioral interviews?
So in my experience, I actually haven't been asked too many soft skills, but it's definitely something that you need to keep in mind.
Yeah.
So I think Bloomberg, for one, their interview consists of like one entire section being mostly soft skills.
Yeah.
So for this, I pretty much just like know your strengths and weaknesses, know common soft skill questions that interviewers might ask. And in terms of for the first recruiter call, when they're essentially screening you, definitely express a big interest in the company that you're going for.
Yeah.
Right. Like recruiters love it when you show that you definitely want to be there.
Yeah.
And it's not like the other way around.
It makes their job easier.
It definitely does.
Yeah.
So like research the company beforehand and pretty much be prepared to answer like why you want to work there.
Very true, because like I guess like if the recruiter doesn't feel like you're all in, then like they're not gonna want to waste their time.
Yeah.
Lightning round, favorite hobby,
Video games.
favorite fast food,
Chinese.
best social media platform,
Facebook, obviously.
favorite game,
League of Legends.
favorite place in the world.
Oh geez, this is a tough one. Let's say Seattle. I'm going there.
Okay, sure. Where do you want to visit right now?
Japan.
Cat or dog?
Sorry?
Cat or dog?
Dog.
Coke or Pepsi?
Coke. All the way.
Okay. That's okay. So that concludes our lightning round. So what do you usually do outside of work?
Let's see. On school terms, I'd study, but on work terms, that's so weekends. For co-ops, I had the luck of being able to pretty much go and visit different places. So I've had a few co-ops in Bay Area, one in like the San Francisco, the city, one in New York, one in Seattle. So because I'm in all these different places, I really like to spend my weekends pretty much exploring, probably with either like interns or coworkers, exploring either like nature or like the city or going on hikes or whatnot.
Yeah.
So pretty much weekends are my time to de-stress and
immerse yourself in the real world.
In the real world and get some new experiences. Yeah.
Kind of go deeper into this. So where do you see yourself 5-10 years from now?
So I see myself probably still in tech, something related to
Most
it.
likely, yeah.
Probably at a smaller company. So I feel like maybe either like a technical or some other leadership role at a smaller company would be my medium-term goal.
Do you see yourself going into, let's say, because a lot of people in software engineering, they love the technical role, they want to stay there forever. Some do want to go into management roles, either a tech leads or a PM or whichever it is, or even director roles, right? Is that anything like, is there a certain direction that you want to go towards?
So I think for me, I'll just take it as it comes, right?
As it comes, yeah.
Definitely just take it one step at a time and see where my career leads me.
Okay, yeah. So it's wherever's there, like you'd be open to it, kind of thing. This question is pretty new. I haven't asked this in previous videos. But if money was not involved, okay, like let's say everyone got paid the same, okay, like the guy over there is getting paid the same as the guy over there doing different jobs. What would you be doing?
Oh gee.
And I don't accept software engineering as an answer, because like like anything you want,
I might even go into music.
Music.
Yeah.
What kind of music?
So either production or composing or something like that. It's always been an interest of mine, but I haven't really had the chance to pursue it to a very large degree.
Okay, that's very interesting. So did you like play it like when you were like, did you like play an instrument when you were younger?
Yeah, I learned piano.
So typical
Asian upbringing.
Yeah, typical Asian upbringing. Let's see, like now looking into back at like your time at Snowflake, your time at Google, your time at Facebook, Wish. Like how would you kind of say like working at big companies help kind of you progress? Like I think a lot of people, they want to work at a big company because of the name.
Yes.
Which makes total sense, because obviously when you work at bigger names, like if you want to go to a different job, the recruiters look at when they scan your resume, they know you're at least this good, right? But like intrinsically, like how, like when you look at yourself, how did it help you working at these like big fours?
Yeah, so the big companies, like you mentioned, definitely is a big boost on your resume.
Yeah.
So for instance, my second term, when I was applying for jobs, I didn't have Google yet. I would maybe get response to like 1 in 15 or 1 in 20 applications. But and then I didn't realize what kind of effect that having Google on my resume would bring me. So on my third co-op, I pretty much applied to too many places, and I was pretty overwhelmed with interviews at one point. But yeah.
What were the odds on that one? The ratios on that one?
Maybe 1 in 3.
Oh wow. Okay.
So Yeah, like it really does make a big difference for what you get out of the internship. I don't know if this is in the scope of the question, but
No, continue.
so I think for big companies, like another difference besides like scope of project is big companies, they provide a lot of opportunities that small companies may not. So for instance, at Google, they would have lots of festivals pretty much like once every other week. They would have like, like a bowling alley on the campus, and they'd have, like an arcade room, and it's just like they make life really sweet for you.
Yeah.
So that
literally sweet.
It's literally sweet. So you don't want to leave, and there's like all the free food and stuff. But like because your project is more limited in scope, it's more of like up to you to get the most out of your internship. So for instance, at Google, they also had like a series of tech talks by like the heads who actually started like the Google Cloud system, and the people who created Gmail, for instance. So it's really like up to you to attend these talks, to learn more, to even like schedule meetings with people that you're interested in, because like the culture at big companies are usually pretty free, such that like you can schedule meetings with or lunches with them as long as they're not too busy. They'd be glad to talk with the interns. At smaller companies, because it's more like limited in scope and you're already learning so much more, I think it's less of an emphasis on you to get more out of the internship. I think that's
super interesting. And now like kind of we're all I'm bringing this all over the place, but in terms of like resume now, like how do you like, other than having Google on your resume that helped, like what would you recommend someone that's creating their resume now or trying to fix it up, like what should they focus on? Like what kind of tips and tricks do you think that's important?
Sure. So I guess besides the normal tricks that you can find on if you just Google for resume tips, I think one big factor is you really want your resume to stand out from all the other ones. So like using templates is fine as like a starting point, but you definitely want to twist it up and add your own flair so that recruiters
Pop out.
Yeah, it pops out to recruiters.
Yeah. I definitely recommend, like even on a lot of people's resume and even on mine, it's like I take good parts. If I look at templates or I see other people's and I'm like, oh, that part of your resume is really cool in terms of like visually appealing, I'll take it out and I'll put it on mine, or I'll kind of mix and match kind of thing. So make sure like if someone looks at it, like if recruiters are all human, that they look at it, like they'll be like, oh, okay, this is something I want to read. Right, and then it's like not like messed up with like tons of words and like and of what I would say like BS, right? So in terms of the content inside, like what do you recommend that helped you, or you felt like that's way more effective than just putting whatever you want?
So this sounds counterintuitive, but having some keywords in like the list of skills that you have, I think helps a bit. It's because like most recruiters are not that technical, so sometimes they might be looking for people who have like HTML5 and CSS experience, or experience working with proficient with Java, for instance, or whatnot. So definitely have some of those, but also on the other hand, don't go overboard, right? Yeah. Like if recruiters see a big laundry list, then they're less likely to believe it to be true.
Or they just think like it's way too broad and you spread yourself too thin, and you're not going to be good at for the job. All right. So kind of to end it all, so what kind of advice would you give to someone who's going down this software engineering route?
So software engineering is such a large field. There's so many different aspects to it, like data science on one end, or back end, or front end, or mobile development. I feel like you should really take a chance to try out as many fields as you can to really figure out like what's your favorite, or if you even
what's your favorite, like where you are really interested in.
Yeah, right? Like your interest in the field, to make sure that you really enjoy doing it, because at work you're going to be spending hours in front of a computer, so it's definitely worth it to make sure that you're actually enjoying.
Yeah,
what
you're actually
doing.
enjoying it. Like you don't want to go to work miserable, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. And what else? What else would you suggest, kind of like an advice for someone who's going down this path?
Yeah, so we talked about this a bit earlier, but I really want to re-emphasize it. You definitely want to try and get a referral to get your foot in the door. So like try and meet new people, and the best part about it is that most people are going to be more than happy to give you a referral just because of the large referral bonuses that companies offer if you
Huge
manage
ones.
to get in.
Yeah. That's funny. And then referrals also is kind of for the company a benefit as well, because they want to know that the person that's like they're interviewing is one, like backed up by one of their own, and at the same time it's like the whole interview process is a pretty long process, and they actually invest a lot of capital into a lot of capital and resources to actually interview a person. Like so in the end it kind of saves the company time and increases your chances when you do referrals.
Definitely.
So okay, last question. So what kind of philosophy do you follow? Like, so there's what kind of saying in the past that kind of, or like inspiration that you took in the past that kind of brought you to, or aligned yourself with in terms of your career and or like your perspectives?
So it's less of a philosophy and more like a long-term goal that I tend to strive towards. So when I was a kid, I watched this movie iRobot with Will Smith, and the main character robot in it, I thought was like, it's so cool that he's running on an AI, and it's such a shame that it doesn't exist in real life.
Yeah.
So little kid me who wanted to really change the world set that as the goal, no matter how unobtainable it may be, to try and strive towards. And I guess ever since then I've sort of been slowly inching my way there through either my courses or my co-ops to maybe one day make working on that a reality.
Do you see yourself working on that as like a part of a company, or would you ever want to maybe start a company that makes iRobot the movie a reality? Well, not the bad parts, the good parts.
The good parts, right? So yeah, I'm not sure at the moment, right? It's a long term in the future. Like I said earlier, it's I personally feel it's best to take it one step at a time.
No, I agree. I think vision is good, but I think a lot of people who are in this field, they think like they want to have like a long-term plan, but sometimes that long-term plan doesn't work out, and you kind of like you're kind of put on pause. But if you just keep doing what's available in front of you and kind of progress, like have progress, I think that's super key. Like, would you agree?
Definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, I think in general, I want to emphasize that by no means am I saying if your career is not at Longyou's level, you're not doing good. Like Longyou, I know it's very awkward for him to kind of see me say this, but working at these companies and kind of being just the guy he is very, very humbling. And that like this is no way the means of like you should follow exactly what he's doing. But just know that he faced his trial and tribulations, like first year where like he didn't end up getting an internship, by a bit of fault of his own, but at the same time it's like take rejections as it is, and just keep progressing and keep doing better. So kind of ending it, I want you guys to kind of understand that like, if you guys your careers are not at where Longyou is, doesn't mean that you guys are not doing well. Longyou himself is a very special case, working on these great companies and being the kind of person he is. But it's something to, we did this video is kind of just to show you that even with someone like Longyou, he faced a lot of trials and tribulations, and so probably a lot of nights where you probably push yourself in your room and just kept going at it, right? And like he said, you take a step at a time, and you'll get your big break sooner than you can imagine. But yeah, so if you guys have any questions for Longyou, I'll link your stuff below. If he doesn't answer it, I'll send him a video. Make sure he answers in the comment section. So comment below if you guys have any questions. I'll link Longyou's stuff in the bio if he wants, and yeah, we'll keep this going. But yeah, thanks a lot, Longyou. Any things you wanna say?
Sure. Yeah. Just like Danny said earlier, don't give up. My first year was pretty rough, but I ended up going to volunteer for a local charity and building their website. So I think try and always improve yourself, try and get more experiences. I was lucky, but when you get the opportunity, hopefully you'll be able to take advantage of it too.
Like, so the first time I asked Longyou about how he did it and stuff like that, he actually said a lot of it was luck. But then I always come back with like, yes, it's lucky. He was lucky, but he has to be prepared to actually capitalize on that luck. I think that's why I emphasize a lot for him, because he's a humble dude, and a lot of times, yes, it's luck, but just make sure you guys keep going at it. If you guys know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and soon enough everything will work out. Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot, Longyou.
All right. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Done.